Hey fellow filmmakers, Clifton Stommel here. Today we're here to talk about the DEITY S-Mic 2 and the DEITY S-Mic 2S. We're going to be running these mics through their paces and a lot of side-by-side comparisons so you can hear the difference in their pickup patterns, noise floor, audio quality, off-axis noise rejection, and so on and so forth. But before we get started, if you could go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that I know you're watching and I can make more of these, that would be great. So let's get to it. So first impressions, I noticed right out of the box that both of these mics have a really robust feel. There's a nice weight and heft to them, and you can tell they're not going to fall apart if they are dropped or hit or, say, fall down a mountain. And that is for sure because of the all-metal body that is over each mic's diaphragm. Now, the S-Mic 2 is not quite twice as long and objectively twice the weight of the S-Mic 2S. Now, when it comes to physical features, both of these mics are pretty straightforward. There are no physical switches or buttons to worry about. Everything is managed from your professional audio recorder, field mixer, what have you, that you're plugging them into. Again, these are designed to be used in professional environments where you have high-end tools and equipment that you're actually connecting these to, rather than relying on them to provide their own power or record internally. In addition to the robust housing, they are of course also water-resistant microphones, which is great if you're going to use them in a storm or drizzle, or like when we shot Ontario in Iceland and randomly had just rain come through and then be gone again. These kind of mics will actually hold up to shifting environmental conditions where you can't exactly control the elements. So you may be wondering what exactly is the difference between these two microphones other than their obvious size, especially given that the S-Mic 2 still fetches a higher price point than the S-Mic 2S. Well, one of the differences is a pretty negligible difference in noise floor. The S-Mic 2S does have a single decibel higher noise floor than the S-Mic 2, partially because when you shrink technology down, put it in a smaller package, you're gonna end up sacrificing something. Also, the S-Mic 2S, I believe, has a slightly wider pickup pattern than the S-Mic 2. So if you're recording, say, internal dialogue, you have two characters talking, you wanna make sure you're able to capture a little bit of one while you're pointing at the other. This may be a better microphone for that use, but if you really want to isolate a subject and do that sort of, sniper action with your boom pole or your on-camera microphone, the S-Mic 2 original is going to be better for that use as well. And for those of you who are curious about what accessories do ship with these microphones, let's talk about what's in the box. Now, DEITY does include one of these little clippy plastic mic stand clamp things that is for putting on the top of a stand pole or a boom arm or whatever have you. You're not going to want to use these though, because there's no shock absorption in them. So if you actually are handling a boom pole, or if you're stepping around the ground where you have a mic on a stand, you're going to hear that handling noise. You're going to hear the vibrations traveling through what you're holding or what's holding up the mics, and they're not going to stop that. So you want to get an actual shock mount with a rubberized or some sort of shock absorbing mechanism on it that's going to keep those little vibrations from actually traveling into the microphone. So you can pretty much just throw those away or have them as backup. They also have, of course, like most manufacturers, they have the wonderful little puffy, fluffy windscreen thing. It's better than nothing, not as good as an actual dead cat, of course. And for some reason, one of them is branded and one is not. So that's a difference worth noting. And my personal favorite is not only do they include a silica gel pack in each one of these cases, but they give it its own little dedicated slot. And oftentimes I see these just kind of tossed in with the product because they want to make sure they don't get, moist during transit. But to have a dedicated slot is actually kind of cool if you really do like to keep a silica gel pack with your stuff at all times. And if you ditch a silica gel pack, you have a perfect slot for keeping a couple of saltine crackers that you can munch on set. And of course, the final thing is the case itself. This is a great thing that I think more manufacturers should do. I see more and more doing it, which is awesome. Everyone should ship their product, if possible, obviously within price points, in a hard latching travel case. The pre-cut foam, the size of the travel case, everything about it is so nice to have. And you know that when you buy the product, you're not going to have to do all this extra work to get the right Pelican case and the pick and pluck foam and all that junk. It's literally ready to travel right as is out of the box, and it just makes moving around and doing international flights and whatever with these kind of microphones just so much easier. So big up to DEITY for including the travel hard cases with the pre-cut foam. as well as a handful of accessories. I mean, this is the kind of thing that customers, I think, really like, and it certainly helps me a lot when I'm dealing with my inventory and equipment. Now, when it comes to things like the difference in their pickup patterns, i.e. the best effective distance to record with the microphones, as well as off-axis rejection and what they would sound like in, say, a vocal audio booth. We have those tests coming up right now. So for this test, I'm standing in an untreated living room. There are definitely plenty of reflections, and this is the kind of normal environment you might find yourself doing interviews or small dialogue in. A non-studio, someone's house or apartment, where you'll be dealing with, minimal decor and definitely hard walls, ceilings, etc., where sounds will be bouncing off. Now, I am currently about 1 foot away from each of these microphones. We have the DEITY S-Mic 2S and the DEITY S-Mic 2. I will do a little sound test thing again for you so that you can hear Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers and Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Now I'm going to step back about a foot so you can hear what the pickup is like with the room reflections about 2 feet away from the microphone. When you're shooting a narrative environment or an interview, this is probably about as far away as you'll want these to be to get a decent pickup directly on the microphones and still have the dynamic range of your source to outweigh the reflections in the area. I'm sure even now you're hearing those reflections quite a bit. But just to test again the pickup pattern difference between these two, Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers, Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Now I'm going to step back another 2 feet. We're now 4 feet from the source, and chances are you're not going to get much good use out of this. Again though, we are testing just how wide the pickup pattern is, which of these mics has more of an issue with reflections in a closed room like this. So Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers, Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Okay, so in this setup you can see how far the microphones are away from me, as well as the fact that you can hear probably that I'm in an untreated room. There's certainly reflections going on in here, so it's sort of a realistic environment. And to my right is my server, which is in the middle of a very challenging data process. The fans are whirring away like crazy, sort of a higher pitched noise, but I think within a range of what you'd likely deal with in a real world environment. Now, when you're on set, you're unlikely to decide to have an interview right next to a server with small fans whirring away like crazy. But the point of this small test here is obviously to create an extreme version of some real world sounds that you might encounter so you can actually hear the off-axis rejection compared to a subject. So for our next off-axis rejection test, we're going to use a much more unreasonable environment. Next to me is the air conditioning unit, and it is a very hot day in LA, so it is working its ass off. And as you can hear, it's very loud, and it is also closer to the actual tone of my voice with a lower sound than what the server was giving off. So this is an example of being this physically close to an industrial piece of equipment that's giving out that low hum on a microphone that doesn't have a low cut filter, and me projecting as I need to over this thing so that I can even hear my own voice. And for our final test, we are standing in a small untreated room with live music playing. To make things even worse, the guitar amp is pretty much in line with the microphones, not quite on, but a little bit off axis. And of course, a guitar sounds pretty much in the same tonal range as human vocal cords. So if my voice is being able to be picked up here, not just by volume, but actually tonal range, with the sound reflections and everything in this room, then I'd say it's a pretty good indicator of, what you can expect. Again, there's no way you would be doing an interview like this next to someone playing live music this close to the amp, but to create some very impossible scenarios in which we really see how that off-axis rejection works, this is about as rough as it gets. The WFMT announcer slot is not a happy one. In addition to uttering the sibilant, mellifluous cadences of such cacophonous sounds as Hans Schmidt Isserstedt, Karl Schuricht, Nicanor Zabaleta, Hans Knappertsbusch, and the Hammerklavier Sonata, he must thread his vocal way through complications of l'Orchestre de la Suisse Romande, the Concertgebouw Orchestra of Amsterdam, the Leipzig Gewandhaus Orchestra, and other complicated nomenclature. However, it must by no means be assumed that the ability to pronounce l'Orchestre de la Société de Concert de Conservatoire de Paris with fluidity and verve outweighs and ease, naturalness, and friendliness of delivery when at the omnipresent microphone. For example, when delivering a diatribe concerning Claudia Muzio, Beniamino Gili, Hedy Plumacher,
Giacinto Prandelli, Hilda Rosa Maiden, and Linda Pagliucci. 5 out of 6 is good enough if the 6th one is mispronounced plausibly. Jessica Dragonette and Margaret Truman are taken for granted. Poets, although not a constant annoyance as the polysyllabically named singers, creep in now and then. Of course, Dylan Thomas and W.B. Yeats are no great worry. Composers occur almost incessantly, and they range all the way from Albinus, Alphen, and Ulrich to Wolf Ferrari and Zeissel. Let us reiterate that a warm, simple tone of voice is desirable, even when introducing the Bach cantata Ich hatte viel Bekommnis, or Monteverdi's opera L'Incarnazione di Pappia. Such then is the warp and woof of an announcer's existence in diesen heiligen Hallen.
Final thoughts. Personally, I think these are pretty good microphones. They seem to punch well above their price class. I mean, for $300 to $350 price range, they do pretty freaking good. And as long as you're willing to, EQ out or EQ up or whatever have you, do the audio sweetening, which you should be doing in post anyway. These are awesome mics with really good pickup and really good, robust, just audio capture capabilities. Are they $1,000 microphones? No. And if I didn't already have such a competing microphone, I would buy these in a heartbeat. Granted, these were provided to me from DEITY, and I realize now I didn't mention that in the intro, but I'll put it as like a text thing before the video. But am I gonna send them back or say I'm not gonna use them? Heck no. In fact, I'm probably going to start using these pretty much exclusively from here out for all of my YouTube videos. What are they not great for? Well, anything you would need a lavalier mic for. Anything time you have to use someone's body to block out, 50% of the area noise, or if you need to hide a microphone in somewhere super tiny, they're not the mic for that. But for boom mic needs, they're great. And again, as long as you know how to do the vocal sweetening or audio adjustments in post, if they don't quite have the same sound of another mic you'd prefer, you can get that sound out of them, and I've heard some pretty amazing examples of how that becomes totally identical. So are they worth a buy? I'd say yeah. If you're in the $300 to $350 price range and you need a professional XLR mic that's gonna be used, as a shotgun on a boom pole or for sound folder or whatever you would need this pickup pattern for, that's a great price option. There's no reason to extend yourself budget-wise. It's not gonna make your film that much better just because of some different mic you have. And of course, I'm only one filmmaker, so my opinion is not the only one out there. If you have any other opinions that differ, or if you have additional information that other viewers may want to hear about, please share your thoughts and experiences in the comment section below. And generally speaking, if you just want to give me feedback on this video, also welcome. I am here, I'm a real person, I'm talking to you directly, and I respond to all the comments. So definitely engage, I'm here for you guys, and as always, I appreciate the time that I have to show you guys some stuff, talk to you about what I'm discovering, review some products, share some films. This is what I do, and I'm glad to have you guys along for the ride. So if you like the videos, if you like my channel, please give it a like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.